First up is Doug Emhoff. He is the husband of Senator Kamala Harris, but is a very impressive individual himself. He's an accomplished lawyer and has had a several decade career practicing law across the country. And he is, most importantly for tonight, a huge supporter of Senator Kamala Harris, who is going to be an incredible vice president. And since we are in Colorado, let's not hold it against him. He is a Lakers fan, and there's another big game tonight. We know the Nuggets are going to start their comeback. So, Doug, I hope this isn't the start of the downfall for the Lakers, but us here in Colorado are hoping so. But it's my privilege to pass it off to the future second gentleman of the United States, Doug Emhoff.
Thanks, Rep. Roberts. And I did see your tweet. I've been stewing a little bit about it before the event, but it's we're all on the same team here tonight. And thank you for that great introduction. I want to thank your incredible Secretary of State, Jenna Griswold is here. Representative Leslie Herod is here. Rep. Roberts, who's amazing. I loved your story about getting involved. And Gracie Abrams, who we know from Los Angeles, so we're very proud of her. First, before we get started, I just want to take a moment as we reflect on the legacy of the late, great Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg. It is really up to your generation who is rising up to honor her legacy with action. All across American college campuses and workplaces, young people are leading the way on all the issues that will shape our future. Issues like climate change, access to health care, protection of reproductive rights, gun violence prevention, freedom to marry who you love, and dismantling systemic racism, among many others. You are demanding new leadership in Washington that truly understands the challenges facing your generation. And the best part, as Rep. Roberts alluded to, many of you are even running for offices yourselves, which is amazing. But all of this work begins at the ballot box. So I want to thank everyone joining us today for all the calls you're making, the conversations you're having, the tweets, the Zooms, all the work you're doing day in and day out. It's a real honor to join you in this fight for the soul of our nation. Now, you all, the young Americans, have the opportunity to be the difference in this entire election, the difference between building back better or 4 more years of this horrible, failed leadership. I have to tell you, literally one of my favorite parts of the campaign are the calls I make to our organizers and volunteers all across the country. I just made several today. Every one of these discussions ultimately gets to a conversation about how they got into this work. The common refrain is that they got involved because of the 2016 election, and nobody wants to wake up on November 4th to feel like they could have done a single thing more. I heard from a college student, the same age as a lot of you, who took a gap semester, poured their heart into the campaign because they knew it was just that important. I talked to an organizer from Pennsylvania who's a lifelong activist for immigration reform and wants to make sure DACA is protected. Just today, I spoke to an organizer whose dad works at a meatpacking facility with many undocumented workers, and she got involved with this campaign because she's afraid of those unsafe working conditions for all of our essential workers. I talked to a retail worker who lost his job, as so many have during this pandemic, and told me how he found a new calling as an organizer. I leave every one of these conversations just inspired by the passion and dedication of this team. And when Kamala Harris inevitably asks me, "How was your day, Dougie?" she will always do that. But I will tell her about all the work that you're doing. And I bring these stories back to everyone else on the campaign too, because I want us to be the best, most responsive campaign that we can be. Now, these conversations fuel me, and it just lets me know that we're all in this together. And if you see an unknown number, pick it up. It might be me. I'd love to have this conversation with you as well. So I know it's your hard work over the next 42 days that will get us to victory on November 3rd. And this victory is literally within our grasp. But with your help, we will leave no doubt on Election Day that we have won a decisive mandate from the American people, a mandate that our current president will not be able to refute. And that victory will run right through Colorado. Now, our son, Cole Emhoff, is on the call today. Hi, Cole.
Everybody.
So Cole went to college in Colorado, at Colorado College in Colorado Springs, and he can tell you that that community, including Colorado College and the University of Colorado Springs, is helping turn El Paso County a little more purple each and every day. So Cole, take it away.
Hey everyone. I'm so glad to be a part of this call. I just want to thank everyone for coming out and showing this kind of energy as we head into the election. We're going to need every single one of you to turn out for Joe and Kamala. You know, in 2018, about 41% of Colorado's 18 to 29-year-olds voted. Only 41%, at the third highest youth turnout in the nation. How do we get to 100%? I challenge each and every one of you to break out of your bubble, out of your echo chamber, and reach out to someone and engage them. Ask who they're voting for. Tell them why you're voting for Joe and Kamala. The most effective outreach we can do is relational. And we're not taking a single vote for granted. So text your cousin, your freshman year roommate, the group text that's usually just gifts. Be that person. Because you want to wake up November 4th knowing you did everything you could in this election. I truly believe in Joe and Kamala and want to make sure everyone is getting their message out there. So thank you all again. Dad, I'll turn it back to you.
Cole, that was great. I'm so proud of you, and I'm even more proud of us being 2-0 in our fantasy football team. So thank you for picking such a great team. But all of you are incredible, and this work couldn't be more important. Because the fact is, Donald Trump has failed at his single most important job as president of the United States. He has failed to protect the American people. To begin with, he failed to take the virus seriously, and by his own recorded admission, playing it down, even when he knew how deadly it was. That was back in January. And just last night at his rally, he said it affects virtually nobody below the age of 18 and is mainly a risk to elderly people with heart problems. That is incorrect. Nearly 200,000 Americans have died. I think we just passed that grim milestone, and more to come because of his failed leadership. But guess what? Joe and Kamala have a plan. They're going to be ready on day one to get this virus under control. And not only that, they're going to do everything they can to protect the Affordable Care Act and build on it to ensure that healthcare is a right for all Americans, not just a privilege. And you know, the Trump administration is in court right now trying to overturn the ACA during a pandemic. It's wrong. It's outrageous. And furthermore, because of his disregard for this pandemic, Donald Trump has plunged this country into the worst economic crisis since the Great Depression. And again, Joe and Kamala are going to be ready on day one. They have a plan to create millions of jobs and make sure work is rewarded, not just wealth. And while Donald Trump is out there calling climate change a hoax and ignoring the science, Joe and Kamala have a plan to address it as the urgent existential threat that it is. I just think of my home state of California and the communities there in Colorado facing these historic wildfires. I don't have to tell any of you this. It's just terrible. So as far as I'm concerned, and as a longtime trial lawyer, and just as importantly, as an American who loves his country, the case against Donald Trump and Mike Pence is open and shut. They need to go. We need leaders to rebuild trust with the American people and return America to our rightful place of moral leadership on the world stage. And that's what Joe and Kamala will do. And by the way, Kamala's not just on the campaign trail. She remains on the Senate Judiciary Committee. So she's going to be squarely in the fight to stop McConnell and his cronies from jamming someone through who's going to try to overturn the Affordable Care Act, like I said, in the middle of a pandemic. Someone who's going to try to overturn Roe v. Wade and other long settled laws and precedents that help people, that are rights for people. They're trying to take those away. And as she and Joe have clearly stated, the American people must first pick a president before we move forward with any nomination. So I believe we can win this election, but I know we must win this election. We have to win. But that doesn't mean it will be easy. It won't be, because they're not going to go down without a fight. But I know that if anyone can beat them, it's this team. and the support you've shown us tonight and the work you're doing is absolutely essential. I know we're not going to take anything for granted. Like I said, we need a mandate. We need an unequivocal mandate from the American people on November 3rd, one that proves these past few years do not represent who we are or who we aspire to be. Now, that also means supporting our incredible candidates up and down the ballot, expanding the map, flipping even more congressional districts, and we have to take the Senate back. And as all of you know here, we can only do that if Colorado elects John Hickenlooper. Cory Gardner, he's got to go too. And that also means doing everything we can to protect the right of every eligible voter to cast a ballot and make sure those votes are counted. We can do this together, but we only have 42 days. Time's a ticking. That's it. We need to do the work. So, a National Voter Registration Day. If you haven't already, all of you should register at iwillvote.com/co. iwillvote.com/co. Do it on your phone right now. I know you have them. Just go ahead and do it. And if you think you're registered, just double check it, just to make sure that it's up to date. Because in Colorado, that's very critical since ballots are mailed directly to you starting October 9th. So check those addresses. You can cast your ballots by mail or at 24-hour drop boxes as soon as you get your ballot. So mark your calendars, text your friends, your family, anyone you know, like Cole said, get out of the bubble. Make sure they are registered and have a plan to vote too. Because if we can do that, I am absolutely confident that together, as a team, by electing Joe and Kamala, we will honor the legacy left to us by the late Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg. We will finally put an end to this dark, horrible chapter in our history, and we will change our country and our world for the better. Thank you so much. Do the work, and we'll do this together.
Doug, thank you so much.